Hello and good evening and welcome back to Ottawa Buzz TV Happy Ground with Rebecca Happy. And today we're doing a little bit later because we're talking with a special guest who's all about networking and businesses and how he helps local businesses here in the city, Jarrod Goldsmith. And you're gonna be really glad that you tuned in if you did. Anyway, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, Rebecca. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
So I'm excited to speak to you today and for you to sort of share a little bit about how you were able to pivot during this time, especially since you were like the man around town doing, very large business networking events. It was quarterly, your event.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. And I've seen you, seen you online quite a bit since the past 10 years or whatever. I think I shook your hand once at some networking event, but this is probably the first really conversation we're having is today.
Yeah.
So tell us, I know you have a really big history, just, how you came to be in Ottawa and how did you come to be like the networking event person who was also a musician?
Great. Thank you very much. Well, we have a few hours, right, to talk about this.
Yes,
so long story short, Rebecca, I'm from Montreal and I didn't know what I wanted to do after high school in CEGEP. So I went into archaeology at McGill University, but I kept studying music. You mentioned the music. Yeah, I'm a saxophone player. I started playing in high school and I kept it up. I was quite good and I never wanted to do it as a career. Everybody was saying, you're crazy, get a real job. But I really enjoyed archaeology as well. And so after my time in Montreal, I went to Edmonton to the University of Alberta, did a master's degree in archaeology.
Oh,
the first week there, I joined a band. I started playing around town. And moved back home into my parents' basement. Couldn't get a job in Montreal. And in 2002, I met a woman, and she said, "I'm going to teachers college in Ottawa. You want to come with me?" Sure, I'll try to get a government job. Moved to Ottawa. Didn't know anybody here. Mm-hmm. And for the next 7 or 8 years, it was contract to contract, periods of an unemployment, EI. Like I've been on EI more than people can count. Because
like contracts as an archaeologist or as a musician?
Not at all in archaeology.
Okay.
In federal government opportunities.
Okay.
But I kept up the music. And then my last government contract ended in May 2011. And I said, after all these years of trying to get a career in government, great experiences, don't get me wrong, but it just wasn't in the cards. And then I thought,
what kind of work were you doing for the government?
I worked as a trade commissioner for foreign affairs at the time. And that was a really exciting opportunity. I was a trademarks examiner with the Canadian Intellectual Properties Office.
Wow.
Which came into play many years later when I became an entrepreneur. I know a lot about trademarks, and most startups and small businesses do not. Mm-hmm. I was a communications officer. I worked I was an editor for a while. It's because each opportunity was in a different department, and probably a few that I'm forgetting right now. Right. But I kept up the music. And in 2011, I said, you know what? My whole life I've been playing music on the side. I'm going to try to make it a go.
Wow.
So I started an all saxophone band called Sax Appeal. Really
okay.
Cute. But most people have never heard of a saxophone quartet before.
Right.
They're never going to hire me because nobody's flipping through Google or the Yellow Pages, if those still exist, looking for an all saxophone band. So people at the time, back in 2011, they said, hey, cool idea. Now go. You need to network to get work. I never went to networking events before. I was such a newbie. I had no idea. And at that time, I started going to every event I could find. And the way I envisioned it myself, if it was more than one person, I called it a networking event. I was there. You're
like Jim Hudson.
I was everywhere. And then by the end of 2011, I had a really good idea on networking, the networking scene in Ottawa.
Okay.
And in early 2012, I started eSAX, which is, like you mentioned, it's a trade show for entrepreneurs and small business owners to learn about networking. Actually, you can see the banners behind me. That was from one of my last large events. And it was a way to help connect the entrepreneur community at the time, bringing together chambers of commerce.
Okay.
Because at the time, back in 2011, there were 5 in Ottawa, and I joined them all. I became an ambassador for all of them. And then I thought, there's no boundaries in business. You know, the Nepean Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, I know. I never understood them.
Yeah, and over the years, a few of them have merged, and then now there's only one happy Chamber of Commerce called the Ottawa Board of Trade. And I played a big part in that. I was very pleased to see it all.
With the amalgamation of it.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, and that was only a few years ago. And all that to say is, because my events were only every 3 months, I started doing a lot more social media. As you may know, Rebecca, we have over 600 videos on YouTube about entrepreneurship and networking for small business. So yeah, I know a few things about networking.
So can you tell us a little bit about how, I've never been to one of your events, so I know like a ton of people that go to it. Pre-COVID, how would it be like? And I always just assume because you had sax in it that there was always saxophones. I don't even know if that's true.
I mean, the two businesses, Sax Appeal and eSAX, they're two separate businesses. But I always try to incorporate the branding as much as I can. I've learned a lot about branding over the years. At an eSAX event, I mean, we probably have 40 videos on YouTube just from, actually probably a lot more than that, of past eSAX events, a mannequin challenge, and all this great content, hundreds of testimonials from people. But you would walk in and you'd hear saxophone music. I would always hire 2 saxophone players, or 4, depending on the size of the event, to play background jazz music as people are networking. And there's a really nice ambiance. You can't really see it, but again, that was a picture from one of the past events.
Now let's see if I can make it any bigger.
There's the band. You see there's the Sax Appeal logos right there. And I mean, that's how it all started. And every time I would get a gig for the band, we would always wear fedoras.
Okay.
And that's where, I mean, you could tell from some of the earlier videos and pictures, we're not wearing hats, because I didn't start wearing hats until, I don't know, early 2012-ish.
I just remember at one point you were saying like follow the fedora or something like that.
Oh yeah. Well, we have a couple of versions. Ask the Fedora
okay.
Is one of my YouTube playlists to help people learn networking skills. They're 1 minute long, quite easy and fun. It was all trial and error. And the other one is I started a weekly series called Find the Fedora.
Okay.
Outlining all of the events I would attend that week to be used as a resource to help other people experience some quality networking events around the city. And yes, of course, they're both trademarked. I own 9, actually.
So when what kind of people would come to your eSAX events?
Entrepreneurs, small businesses, people thinking of starting a business, as we call wantrepreneurs, or those who are at the beginnings, they're not really sure what's going on, what is networking, or they're trying to find clients or opportunities, looking for jobs. It was a big networking event. And it was an event. It was an experience. And eSAX, it's an acronym actually, Rebecca, stands for the Entrepreneur Social Advantage Experience. I mean, not many things rhyme with X. I had to get a little creative, but it was a way to bridge the music side, which again has nothing to do with the networking side, but the names are kind of cute. And I mean, you know, when I launched, very little fanfare. It's like, oh, okay, neat. Most people didn't. Did
you get music gigs from your eSAX networking ever?
Yeah, I think so. It took a while because not everybody is having a 600-person conference they need cocktail music for, or getting married too often they need wedding ceremony music, let alone an all saxophone band. Some of the weddings we have had, you know, we played the hour cocktail music. We played the wedding ceremony. We played the after hours party. Well, more like the sitting at dinner music, you know, classical music, jazz music, everything in between. But because of COVID, the two industries who have been hit the hardest are live musicians, as you probably know.
And theater, all the arts, actually.
All the arts, absolutely.
Performance, yeah.
And event planners, because nobody's hosting events. We can't.
Disaster. And so, all the support workers that go with those event planners.
Everything, huge industries. And
devastated. Yeah.
And as a full-time musician and event planner, 100% decrease overnight. And then that afternoon, I said, okay, well, I have to change. I have to do something.
Yeah, you know, when I was on your mailing list, and I don't know how I got on your mailing list, but you kept talking about this program, what you're going to tell us about. And I'm going, oh no, like now someone's pitching me, but you were really consistent. And then I realized that you were going really, you had found what you wanted, and then you dove into it to become this expert, because and you did it essentially overnight like it seemed to me just through your email content. It was like, yeah. And you went, okay, I got to find a solution. And many other business owners just froze.
Well, my heart absolutely goes out to so many industries and businesses owners out there. We put our heart, our soul, our mortgage, everything into the business to make it work. We strive, we, skimp and save to make it ends meet. And it's tough. Doesn't matter what industry you're in, you're starting up a business. It's hard to have a business. I think when I started as being an entrepreneur, my impression was, oh, you're an entrepreneur? Wow, you must make a ton of money. Well, anything but. And unless you have like a Google that everybody's looking for. But it was relatively easy for me to change and pivot overnight because I said, well, we can't host in-person events, music, shelving that. What can I do? I want to host virtual events, not only networking events. Any other events. So
right off, you knew that it wasn't just about networking.
No. Right away, I came across this amazing platform, changed my life. So my whole business, and as you said, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I mean, and I'm entirely passionate about it. This, I'm sure you've had some other guests, Rebecca. You could tell if they love what they do because they're enthusiastic, and it spreads. This is what catches people's attention. I could go on and bore you to death about sax appeal and the music we play, some of the big gigs we've had and, balloon festivals, all that stuff. But the real fun for me is watching people's reaction and having them experience a fun event. For eSAX, I put the word experience in the name of the brand because it really was an experience. You walk in.
So when you decided what the tools you were going to use in order to do these virtual events, like what is the experience that people have when they attend? And can you just sort of name some of the kinds of events that you've helped create?
No problem. Anything you can imagine. A few stand out. Most recently, on January 20th, 2021, was quite a big day in the United States. That's when President Biden got elected. And they used the platform I use. And somebody who got the opportunity to help support that event knew me because I'm such an avid user of this platform. He said, Jarrod, I need help to manage this. I said, no problem. How can I help? Tech support. How many do you need? I hired 20 live tech support to make that happen.
Awesome.
And it was a fabulous success. And so that was just most recently.
So sort of just make sure I understood. You actually did the whole swearing in ceremony in the virtual space, and you helped do all the tech and management of that event?
Not really. I mean, that was already done by a team.
Okay.
But I helped attendees use this platform, helping people turn their microphone and cameras on, explaining how to use this platform. Much of the content, Rebecca, was already pre-recorded. But they had content from Billie Eilish and Tom Hanks and Bruce Springsteen and Train and all these amazing artists, Eva Longoria. I mean, it wasn't live. It was pre-recorded, much of this stuff.
Of course.
But to use this platform that I've been actively promoting since last March is quite something. And so that was just one gig most recently, which I'm quite proud of.
Awesome.
Some higher
they heard your name too and said, oh, we're going to go get Jarrod.
I mean, being an entrepreneur, you could be everything to everybody. But if you know exactly, what you're good at and what you're not so good at, have really focus on the good parts and have other people talking about it. Over the years, I've been so pleased that people recognize, oh, there's a hat. Oh, that must be the Jarrod guy. Well, that's pretty cool. It didn't start out that way. But now that people have known me for the years, I mean, it helps with social media. And you're excellent at social media, by the way, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Having all those YouTube videos, and we have an eSAX podcast, and it just goes on and on and on. Like, eSAX, everything's about the brand, and living it up. Like, you have to live and eat and dream and sweat everything about your business. It's not just a one-off.
Okay, so I'm going to ask the question again. Sorry, I'm interrupting you, but
no problem, please.
Well, first of all, just before, we're going to say hi to Rob of Still Hip. He sort of watches what we go.
Hey, Rob, how are you?
Yeah. Anyway, how do you replicate through the screen an experience that people leave raving about or feeling really awesome, or that they were really glad that they invested the time to actually sit in front of the screen again? We're screened out, right?
Yeah.
So
let's put it this way: everybody in the world probably knows Zoom now, or is
yeah, they do.
Zoom is a telemeeting platform. It's not a teleconference platform. People say, oh, I host my networking events on Zoom, and I roll my eyes. You can't have a networking event with 30 people on the screen. It doesn't work. Look, networking is all about connecting with people, right? Having that genuine connection and passion and sharing stories and really learning about somebody outside of work. It's not throwing a business card at somebody expecting to get a gig.
Yeah.
Trust me, I know.
Or dropping a link on your Facebook group.
Oh, yeah.
Without talking to anybody.
Yeah, or somebody sends you a LinkedIn invite and then sends you their sales pitch in the next email.
Oh, yeah.
Forget that. And I learned years ago, it's all about relationships. And this, like Zoom, you can't have a meaningful conversation in a networking event with 30 people. The platform I use, it has little breakout rooms. You can see all of the different breakout rooms. You can see who's in them, connect with them, and invite them to your table and bounce around. It is so easy for networking, but that's only the tip of the iceberg. It's offering, that ease. Anybody could use this platform. For instance, last spring, when I was still learning the platform, actually I had a good handle on it by then. I got a call. Hey, we're calling from Washington, D.C. No problem. We want to have a high school graduation. Sure, no problem. But our class is from 1963. And he said, the average age is about 75 and up. Can we use your platform? I said, absolutely. Then I got off the phone and said, okay, let's make this work. And then my colleague and friend, we created a whole bunch of how-to videos. It went smoothless. Smoothless? Is that a word? Seamless. And then ever since then, I said, anybody can use this platform, even if you've never turned a computer on before. It's easy. And when I talk about experience, it's about recognizing that everybody's at a different stage in their career, their life. Maybe they're looking for a job. Maybe they're looking for a significant other. Who knows what they're looking for? But it's all about connections and relationships. And that's what I help people realize and experience, is that it's not Zoom. It's different. It's a platform that, the networking component is brilliant. I've never seen anything come close to it. But I host conferences, award ceremonies, anything you can imagine virtually, this platform can probably accommodate. So that's why I'm such a big advocate for it. And I can't stop talking about it.
Yeah, usually you're pretty pumped, eh?
Yeah.
So just before I was setting up this event to speak with you, I met somebody in a Facebook group who he said you're going to be doing the virtual experience of Comic-Con here in the city.
Yeah, that's right. So our friend Sean contacted me. He says, I'm looking for a virtual platform to host a trade show. Comic-Con. That's great. I used to collect comics. I have them all downstairs. And Sean and I have had some good conversations. We're talking about the old Spider-Man series. I was my biggest fan. And I said, yeah, my platform's perfect for that. Wedding shows, all that stuff. So all different kinds of events can be hosted on this platform.
Because the Comic-Con seems to me like when people that I know that are going there, they're like obsessed with it, right? And some people get into very expensive and elaborate costumes, and then you have these celebrities that come up and people are like fanning them. And I'm interested in seeing how that's going to unfold and translate into this experience that people are going to get pumped about through the screen again. Like, well, you think people are going to be wearing their costumes?
Well, let me walk through how I envision the event's going to unfold. People might dress up as cosplay. I mean, that'd be really cool if you're sitting in front of a camera and you see people, dressed up as their favorite animated costume. It would be fabulous to see, because you don't see that every day, especially in an event. Oh yeah, so Sean is helping to host the event, and what's nice about it is you could have one, let's say, guest speaker in a small table, of 4, 6, or 8 people, and then attendees visit different booths of different speakers. But what's so brilliant about this is like a trade show. Every time there's a different trade show booth. I mean, at any one time, you're only talking to 3 or 4 people. In a real life trade show, this platform acts the same way.
And I was wondering, as I was thinking about this yesterday, and also because, in the rooms, like the different rooms, you're allowed to go into them. Are you able to make like the room locked for a certain period of time, and then you open it up, or is it always just free flow?
It's a free flow. I mean, if there's an empty seat, then somebody could occupy it.
Okay.
And then, so much like a real event or a networking event, Rebecca, you're walking around with your cocktail, you're talking to 3 or 4 people. Hey, it was really nice meeting you. You turn around, there's 4 people here. You turn around again, there's 2 people. This platform, it as closely mimics an in-person, natural conference, trade show, or networking event. Like,
I have a friend, for example, who is a teacher, professor at St. Paul's, University of St. Paul's, and he has a lot of his teaching is through. So the groups, like his classes, aren't really big. They'll do something and then they have small group work, right? And then he as the professor would float around it when you're not in virtual, float around and sort of listen in and maybe add something. And so he's using Zoom, and I remember going, oh, like it sounded to me that what you had was better just for that, but like the during that event, like the training or the learning, like they don't want people floating around. So like we're going to break out, and you're going to talk on this subject with this group of people, and there's another group over here. But it's not about going back and forth, but there still remains a certain kind of privacy in that.
I've hosted quite a few events and even some academic institutions.
Yeah, this was academic, yeah.
Because consider them little breakout classrooms.
Yeah.
Like small groups, up to 8 people can be in a classroom at any one time. And then the professor or the teacher can bounce around and interact with each of these classrooms. It is so versatile, and it's a game changer. It's absolutely a world-changing platform.
So how do people find out that you're doing this, even if they lots of people haven't heard about this platform? Like, I don't even know what the name is because I forgot to ask you. But even though I did attend one of your events there, the Canada Board of Trade or something in the spring.
Canada Carleton Small Business Network.
Okay, yeah. So I attended that just to sort of get an understanding of what that experience was. But how do people, like how did Sean know that you're the man, and he's local, or beyond, that you're the man, and not knowing what this platform is?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the trust factor. At least in Ottawa and the region, I'm fairly known for networking, and I've developed these relationships over the years. So it's much easier to do business with somebody, you know, the expression know, like, or trust. Well, I've spent thousands of hours networking, developing those relationships. So when somebody's looking for a conference platform or whatever, they say, hey, Jarrod, I heard you're doing something. Social media is big. Newsletters, okay, if it doesn't end up in spam. Word of mouth is always key. It's always important. And Sean, you know, he's a huge advocate for what I do. He's seen the platform in action. And actually, coming up soon, we're having another eSAX virtual event with W. Brett Wilson, who's one of the original Dragons from Dragon's Den, who will be fielding questions from the audience for an hour. And Michael Curran, the publisher of the Ottawa Business Journals, the moderator, Ottawa Mayor Jim Watson will be saying a few words, Su Ling Ching from the Ottawa Board of Trade. It's a huge networking event, which will probably bring out a lot of people in Ottawa, because, you know, that's where we're from, but the reach is so wide. Once I start publicizing it even more on social media, anybody could join and attend, even if you're not in Ottawa. That's the value of virtual events.
Yeah, so you were the event man, and now you're like I don't know if you call yourself the project manager or the event coordinator.
Well, I guess
specific tool that people are actually hiring.
I'm a virtual event planner.
Okay.
But I don't necessarily plan the events for you. Your organization, your department, whatever, you're having a 50th birthday party, surprise birthday party, which I've done before for somebody. They said, we have this event, conference, trade show, Comic-Con, whatever. We want to use your platform, no problem. And I give them a dry run, a demo of the platform to see if it would suit their needs. And I said, look, let's make it easy. You send me your sponsors, your logos, how you want the room to be set up. I make it. I give a dry run to your stakeholders, your board, whoever. On the day of the event, I manage the entire virtual event. Yeah. You sit back and grab a drink. I'm like,
are you like the techie or the logistics person?
Yeah, I take care of it all. I've been doing this, again, I'm on it 10, 15 hours a day.
Yeah.
And so I make it so fun and easy because I'm used to being in front of a stage. Yes, the music, I mean, you could appreciate the art side yourself with the fine arts background you have, Rebecca. But I'm no stranger to being on a stage. And it's not different than in person or virtual. Virtual, yeah, you're staring at a tiny little camera. And people can see if you're checking your phone or doing other things on the side. So there are some tips that people can use to network virtually.
I have a big phone.
Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah, remember these things? It's a little antique. They're called a telephone for all of you younger generations out there.
And you're used to talking them.
Yeah. And that's such a lost art these days, is calling somebody up. And when I want to get something done, or I need to talk to somebody, your first reaction is, I'll send them an email. Maybe they'll get back to me in a few days, or maybe if they'll reply.
Oh, no.
Try calling somebody, and you'll be amazed, because people, as we all know, we're all struggling, and there's also the whole mental health component about the interaction is being lost, and we don't really know how that's going to affect the generation.
Yeah, I mean, even pre-COVID, the use of phones has affected kids' ability to, or even just being on the screen all the time, to read body languages, if they're only just texting, and how to do social behavior, because they're not having the opportunity to do it, except for maybe going to school, and then they go into these gaming situations or whatever. But the human development side of it it's actually impacting people's brains, apparently.
I believe it. I'm sure of it. I mean, many of the videos I have on the eSAX YouTube channel, and if you go on YouTube and type eSAX, make sure you do it with an A, just in case, eSAX, and you'd be amazed on how much content is there. And some of those Ask the Fedora videos can still be useful for virtual networking. Like, it's following up with people, creating a database. How do you keep track of the people you meet? How do you connect on LinkedIn? All these great little tips. They're a minute long, most of them.
Just on another note, that's all connected to this. There's this woman who was telling me about, she helps people develop groups, and to market the groups. But there's one person she's a woman, who teaches women how to flirt in this online world. They pay her big money for that.
I believe it. I've done a speed dating event, and Valentine's Day is coming up, folks. If you want to host a speed dating event, call me up.
Okay. Do you want me to put your phone number in there? I could, if you want.
Email's fine. Email's good. Info.
Just go to the website.
.ca.
Info@esax.ca. There you go. So if you want to work with Jarrod, got an event in mind, big or small, in Ottawa or not, he's the man to help you. So what's the name of this platform that you are using?
Well, I direct everybody to the website for more information, because we have so much of this content and videos, and people could check out a live demo with me every Thursday at 12 p.m. noon Eastern Standard Time. I invite you to join me for a free trial or a demo, and I explain how the platform works.
And that's at esax.ca?
That's right, esax.ca. Okay. And again, it's a matter, thank you, Rebecca, for putting that up. It's a matter of helping people realize, people talking the new normal. What is the normal? Well, we're still creating it. And for those of us who have to pivot and change, it's a scary time for everybody. But how are we going to get through this? Those who are sitting and waiting for government handouts, well, do you consider yourself an entrepreneur if you're waiting for handouts instead of changing the world and doing something about it? Think about it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I try to offer inspiration to let people know that there are options out there. If something's not working, tweak it. If it means, you have to come up with some really tough decisions, your passion's in your business, you've been doing it for 15 years, is it time for a change? Well, I realized the music industry was down the pits. There's nothing going to change that anytime soon. So I've been playing for over 35 years, Rebecca.
Oh, wow.
I thought, no, done. What's next? And then it on the dime like this. And again, my heart goes out to the professional musicians who all they've known is practicing 10 hours a day and playing, and that's all they know. They're suffering, and it's those who are able to change. Maybe in retrospect, it could be a good thing. I mean, when you think about the successful business owners out there, the entrepreneurs, you only hear about the success stories. You don't hear about the times they failed. But it's all those experiences that shape them where they are.
Okay, so we're going to wrap this up, but tell me just before you go, what can people expect with this upcoming eSAX event that you?
It's going to be a lot of energy. You'll probably have a chance to interact with other community leaders, businesses, friends you haven't seen in over a year who would normally attend networking events in Ottawa, to connect with them again. And it'll be like a long lost family get together, reunion, if you will. It's like a reunion. That's what eSAX is. Because the events are every 3 months, people might only see each other every 3 months. And it's going to be so much fun. I bet people are going to be crying because they haven't seen each other in 6 months. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And
6 months, 10 months, 10 months.
Oh, wow. Yeah. But as an entrepreneur, most of us have grown up watching Dragon's Den. To be able to ask a question directly to W. Brett Wilson is priceless. And that's the value, one of the values of this event. And info at or esax.ca, and all the information's there. Perfect.
Thank you. And thanks for joining us. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. Jarrod's going to, watch them, or I'll tag it and you get your questions answered. And see you next time.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. I really appreciate it. And stay strong, everybody. Stay safe. And if something's not working, think about changing it. And there's a lot of support out there. Other entrepreneurs who are willing to mentor and help and bounce ideas off, because we want to have other people succeed. So hang in there, everybody. Thank you.